that it actually moves on right to the end. But you know, you also have the other inner roads, the roads that are going to the other subdivisions like the Komebalwe, Toko, Bamoso mainland and others. So you see the demands are so many, but you see what we tell the people is that let them keep hoping and trusting in the government, because the government is the only one that can provide them with those things. And the government is also determined, because we thank God that today we have the Prime Minister, the father of Indian Division, who is head of government, and who has also taken a commitment, you know, to see that he does what he has to do for his people.
Honorable Njume, during the start of the ongoing session of Parliament, the eldest member of Parliament condemned some of the scandals that have been plaguing the Republic and called on the executive branch to take action in that light. Do you think this session will be an opportunity too for the legislative branch to put pressure on the executive branch to ensure that such scandals don't repeat themselves again?
No, for sure. We cannot stop talking about it. It is our role. You know, one of our oversight roles is to control government action through oral and written questions. So we have to continue, and we will have to stop at nothing until, you know, this message goes through, and until we start seeing some changes with the attitude of, you know, some of these our brothers who are, you know, disappointing the head of state, disappointing Cameroonians by doing what, you know, is not correct, and by bringing shame to our nation. So we have to continue.
In the course of our news reporting and various interactions with the population and some of our viewers, it has come to our notice that most of our English-speaking IDPs in Yaounde and Douala are really going through tough times. We don't know whether English-speaking MPs too, and MPs in general, are aware of this situation, and if they are planning some kind of action towards that. When we talk of action towards that, we are not necessarily talking about food. We are talking about making sure that these IDPs have access to capital that can enable them create businesses and do some other things as recommended by the head of state.
Yes, I think there is one thing I must say. It is a sad thing for one to be an IDP, and it is therefore I will say an obligation for one to leave or to come out of that state of an IDP. People should not therefore remain in that status for a long time if they have the opportunity to return to their communities. Because to be an IDP or a refugee is a certain, in fact, is what cannot be recommended. And so, to me, in as much as the government is trying to do so much to the IDPs, you know, the Minister of Territorial Administration has been doing so much, they should take advantage of this situation that peace is now returning to our various regions. Let them go back. For those whose areas are now okay, they should go back. You can't continue to remain under this status for a long time simply because you think that you will have some assistance. Some are already going back. Some are already going back. And when you go back to your home, to your village, to your community, it's by far better than continuously remaining in, you know, in a different place under the status of an IDP, except you are there doing business. Because there are many Cameroonians who are not in their villages, they are elsewhere, but they are doing business. So, for how long will you continue to remain in that status if you know that your place is already okay? They should go back. But all the same, when you say what are we doing in terms of providing them with the economic capital to start businesses, I think that is being done, but to what extent? To what extent? The means are not there to carry them forward to a certain extent. You have children you are feeding, children who have to go to school, children who have to, you know, that kind of stuff. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I think Cameroonians have been doing that much, not only the MPs, But the Cameroonians of goodwill have been assisting them in one way or the other. The government has been doing also that much. And many of them, of course, you see that the Minister of Vocational Training has also been offering some opportunities to some of them. NGOs has also been doing so much. Civil society organizations have been doing so much. I think all Cameroonians are so concerned. You see, this is one of the areas where Cameroonians have also converged or come together and are thinking the same to see how they can help these IDPs, you know, to build back their lives.
And do you think that for an effective end to the ongoing conflict, it is time for the government to maybe not change the strategy, let's just say ameliorate its strategy by bringing this issue on the table at the National Assembly for members of Parliament to debate for an effective end to the conflict in the crisis-hit regions?
No, here there is a misunderstanding of the role of Parliament here. The Parliament does not end conflicts. Okay?
They push government to end conflicts.
Yes, and pushing government to end conflict, the Parliament has been doing that. We have been asking questions over and over. That is our role. We have been asking questions to the Minister of Defense, Minister of Territorial Administration. We have been asking questions to the Prime Minister. We have been asking questions to all those ministers that have a direct or indirect relationship to this conflict. We have been asking the questions. And I want Cameroonians to understand that we have been doing that. They should not think that not until when we bring what they think we have to put on the table. No, it's not Parliament's role to bring such issues on the table. No, we have our role to play. And we have a role to play. The first law, when they say legislative body, means what? We examine bills that are brought in either by individual MPs or by the government. We examine them, we scrutinize them, we vote them into laws, okay? For the head of state to promulgate them into laws, sorry. We also control government action. Of course, when a government minister is questionable, when we doubt, when people are asking questions over certain issues, we are the ones to make the government minister to answer questions to make Cameroonians to understand better what is happening. And of course, we also vote the state budget. Now, this issue of bringing this thing on the table, the National Assembly, is not part of, it's a government to bring those issues. We ask questions to the ministers on this issue and they respond.
But also as a representative of your people, it's not a crime if your constituents are in pain. It's not a crime to tell the government that my constituents...
It is not a crime, but you don't do what is not your role. Otherwise, you will not find a place. He will not find a place in the National Assembly. I will not come like this and tell the National Assembly that, okay, let us bring this thing, let us debate over this issue. No. Let us know our roles. Okay? Let us know our roles. Otherwise, you see, that's why many Cameroonians have been asking questions, why is it not the National Assembly? Why is it not bring... No.
Which means that if the people have issues and the people are going through pain and suffering, who can they look up to as a solution?
They look up to us, and that is why I'm saying that we confront ministers. I mean, we confront to a certain extent. You see us hitting the tables and telling them, you must give us answers to this for Cameroonians to hear. And if you look at most of the sessions, they have been live. They have been live for Cameroonians to hear. And if we don't receive appropriate answers that would suit or answer the questions of our people, we keep asking the questions in the next sessions. Sometimes we have what we call special sessions, like when the teachers went on strike. Okay, we call the ministers of secondary and basic education and of course finance to come and answer us on this issue. Tell Cameroonians, this is what they are asking us to ask you. Why this? Why this? Why this? After that, we plan another session. Have you solved the problems as you promised? Are the teachers satisfied? If they're not satisfied, they will tell us. We'll keep asking the questions and we'll keep pushing the government to act accordingly.
Honorable Njume, when you look at the victory of the CPDM in the just ended senatorial election, a landslide victory in the southwest, in the northwest too, another landslide victory, what does this say about the political future of those two regions?
No, this is what you have to understand, okay? The political future of these two regions, to me, is very bright, okay? It's very bright. You know, the people are not stupid. The people are not fools. You can't deceive them all the time. You can't stand to castigate someone who has been doing things and then you push yourself forward that you are the better person, and people wait for a certain period of time, they don't see you that better person. Instead they see the person you have been castigating as a better person. They people now say, come on, what have you been telling us? You are a politician only in terms of talking. You are very good at rhetoric. When it comes to action, we don't see you. So the people have turned their back against them, and the people have now gone the right way by voting the CPDM. To me, I don't see anything wrong in that. Rather, the people have now chosen the right path to say no. It would appear, if I want to develop, let me go this way. If I want to get things that I need to get, let me go this way. And the only way you can go is with the CPDM. They have understood it.
But some have said, there are some who hold the opinion that the CPDM has benefited from the conflict in the area to impose themselves. To impose themselves in the political map of the Northwest and Southwest. In the Southwest, they were practically the only party running. Does that give the impression that in the Southwest, there are no opposition voices?
Excuse me, does this crisis eliminate certain people and put certain people in place? Has the crisis selected the SDF that you supposed to leave Southwest and go elsewhere? We are all there. We are all there. We are all passing through the same situation. On the contrary, let me tell you something.
But as a state, during crisis, you can have advantages.
What advantages do you think? What advantages? Because unfortunately, let me tell you this.
Let me give another advantage. Yes. You can be accompanied by soldiers to vote. Maybe the
No. Come on, let me tell you this. The same soldiers, if I tell you what has been happening, the opposition have been using this issue of soldiers to castigate the CPDM. They have been using the issue of this crisis to castigate the CPDM. And yet the CPDM has stood its ground, despite all the criticisms. That tells you that the CPDM has what it takes, even during crisis, to make the point and to move ahead and to win the elections.
Many really look at the victories to be somehow questionable because we cannot move from a situation, an area that was an opposition stronghold, and just of a sudden, because there is a conflict, the CPDM emerges victorious in those areas.
Get me this. Before these elections, the SDF had won in some areas, right? Okay. Now, what has happened? They are believing with the people. Even in those same areas, the CPDM that did not even win are believing with the people. What has now, let me ask you about the question. What has happened that the people now believe in the CPDM militants who lost in those areas and not to believe in the SDF militants who won in those areas? It's a matter of conviction. The people are not idiots. They are not fools. They have been seen, living with them. And they have been able to see that if I compare 1 and 2, this and this, A and B, this B who last elections we thought he was like this, it's not true. This man told me a lie, and this one has remained so consistent. We CPDM, we are so consistent. We remain who we are. We don't use artificiality to convince people. We use facts. We use reality. We use ourselves. Day-to-day living with the people, they see us. They understand us. And they believe in us. Simple.
Honorable, faced with this ongoing conflict, our people have been scattered across Cameroon. I'm talking about the English-speaking population from the Northwest and Southwest, and also from your constituency, Indian. They have been scattered around. Some of them are confused. Some of them don't know what to do. Others are taking the route to Europe through the Mediterranean. I don't know the kind of advice you can give them at this particular point in time. What should they do? Should they have any hope? Yes,
definitely. You see, let me just tell you something. It is not a matter of politics. It's rather unfortunate, first of all, that most of our youths find themselves in this situation. It's unfortunate. And I will say it's unfortunate because also our education system is obsolete. The education system has disappointed many of our youths. Why? Because the education system is not oriented towards the development of skills and competencies, but rather towards the reproduction of knowledge. And this is where I have a problem. And I've been saying this over and over in Parliament. I've confronted the ministers concerned. Let us work to see how we can change the education system. Let us leave the colonial curriculum and go to contextual curriculum, to 21st century curriculum that is geared towards building critical thinking skills and, you know, enabling the children to become creative, innovative, like the other state has been saying. Okay, and I will say that the youth not think of crossing the Mediterranean. Okay, when you go over there, it's not altogether roses. It's not easy over there, but let them sit back. And I will want to say this. You know, Europe is very good. Europe and America, they are very, very good when it comes to, you know, getting a job maybe. But what kind of job? You must have skilled job. Otherwise you go and you are going to be engaged in an unskilled job, unskilled labor, where you will not be able to survive with just one of such jobs. You must be able to move around and get 3 or 4 of such jobs in order to survive. But then here in Cameroon, here back in Africa, we have business opportunities. Okay, we have business opportunities. Why? Because the environment is very fertile in terms of you know, what you can do. So what they have to simply do is what? I did geography, I did history, I did political science, I did that. At the end of it, I can't help myself. These are not lifelong skills. But you can change. You can change. They are still young. They can divert. They can diversify and move into other areas that will benefit them. They should have the courage. You see, the head of state has given us some assurances, and I strongly believe that he is working very, very strong. He knows what is happening with the youths. He has made a speech, and he has tweeted in those speeches, he keeps saying it. He is committed to ameliorate the condition of our youths here in Cameroon. This triennial program by the Minister of Youth Affairs is very, very important. We are asking the minister to put it 100% into practice. It's going to benefit many of our youth. But I will dare say that let our youth not give hope. That will be the worst thing. The only thing you have to grab and keep to yourself is hope. Let them have hope. And this hope doesn't mean that you sit down with it. Just move around and be searching and see how you can move along with the other youths whom you see struggling left and right, and so on and so forth. And then you will realize that after everything, you know, something will come. Something will come. There is hope in the horizon, I can assure you.
Honorable Njume, AMBANG, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to welcome my media friend for this interview. Your last message to the people of Ndian and to the people of the Southwest and Northwest.
Oh yes, I want to first of all tell the people of Northwest and Southwest. My dear people, something came to us that we did not invite, this crisis, which has taken us, you know, more than 20 years backward. But what are we to do? Just what we have been doing to educate these children who are in the bushes to drop their guns and come out, and to benefit from the amnesty given by the head of state. They are good children, they are not bad, but I want to think that they were deceived. Let's keep encouraging them to come, let them come out, and let us come together and build our divisions, build our communities, build our regions. It is very important. It's not necessary for us to look at the past. The past is not necessary. The past has happened with all its errors, but let us look at the future. And the future is for us to come together, galvanize our efforts to develop our communities. And this is the same message I will tell to those in the divisions. And we are, first of all, very, very grateful. Recently, you see, the head of state has put in place a mechanism on the reconstruction of both the Northwest and the Southwest. And recently, a new national coordinator was appointed. Look, let us take advantage of this. Let us take advantage of this. We should not look at it as a kind of whitewash, but rather it's something which is very, very real. But we should start working on it. It is we to make it work. And therefore, let us come together, look at those areas that we think the international community is working with the head of state to see that this reconstruction comes to reality, because that is the only thing that will end this crisis in its earnest. And so let us work together to see how this body will be able to rebuild our communities. And we thank God that the one who is heading this national coordination, of course, at level of this, it's under the Prime Minister's office. The Prime Minister himself being someone who is so committed, I mean, so committed to see that if there is one thing he has to achieve before he leaves office, is that the Northwest and Southwest should come back, you know, at the level where they ought to have been before the crisis, because we would have moved very far. He's so committed. If there is one thing that is making him not to sleep, is how this reconstruction is going to take place to the level that all of us will say, oh, thanks be to God. And I'm sure it's going to be done, because he's somebody who doesn't talk much. He's an actor more than just, you know, a spokesperson. So for sure, things are going to be okay. Let us remain hopeful. Let us remain united. Let us stop blackmailing others. Let us remain a people with the same destiny, and people who know that they have their destiny in their own very hands.
Thank you, Honorable Njume.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is on that note that we draw the curtains for this edition of the special interview coming to you from Hotel the Deputy here in the nation's political capital. I am Boh Elvis at the microphone for presentation on behalf of the entire technical team that are here with me. The program was coordinated by Kum Leonard and supervised by Brian Tambe. Thanks for watching, and keep watching my Media Prime programs. Bye-bye.